All right, family, we are on chapter 7 of Hurt Used to Live Here. Sometimes beauty can conceal the deepest scars by a sister named Joyce Reed. All right, remember we left off her brothers. They just found that he had um offed himself. So it's so sad. All right, Michael and I were very close, and we confided in each other as well as told each other everything. Michael and I knew more than we should have known or even seen at that age. But we did, and this is my thought. This is the only my personal thought. This is only my personal thought. No legal evidence has been proven. I strongly feel that my brother did not commit the S word and that someone else is responsible for my brother's death. He never did like my brother, and he always would get into it with him and fight with him. She must be talking about the stepfather. He didn't like the fact that my mother would do any and everything for her children, especially for Michael, because he was a diabetic and he needed special attention. He also didn't hide it either. Him and my mother would fight all the time about what she did for her kids and how spoiled we were and didn't deserve half of the things that she did for us. Now, who is he to come and tell that woman what to do for her children? Those not even his kids. She would always have black eyes, and me and my brother would always hear them fight because we were in the next room from them. My sister slept upstairs from us, so she was always to herself all the time. We heard the fights and hitting and all of that. Me and my brother would sit in the room and hold each other and cry. We were scared and never knew what to do. So we would cry all night and wake up the next morning and look at him in disgust and be mad and would always talk with each other about how we felt about their relationship. I strongly feel that my brother Michael did not off himself. He actually had a lot going on. My brother was about to graduate from the 8th grade with me, so he was very excited about that. We had plans for the summer, and we promised each other that we would never leave each other, no matter what. 2 days after my brother's funeral, Bug went through my brother's things and took all of his electronics and pawned them all. Remember, Bug is the boyfriend or the stepdad living with them. This wasn't the first time that our things were pawned or stolen. We would sometimes get our things back, and sometimes we didn't. All we were told was, "Don't worry about it. He'll give it back." My mother was still blind to the fact that her boyfriend, see, he was boyfriend, wasn't even a stepfather. The boyfriend was on drugs, and she still stayed with him. Is this okay? I didn't really understand it at all. The medical examiner returned Michael's belongings that were on his body at the time of the discovery. We found a note in his pocket that said, "Find me in the storage room hanging." I started wondering that if this was a suicide note, it wouldn't be in his pocket on him while he hung himself. He would have at least left it for someone to find it. My family did their own investigation. They found out that my intuition was right. The note that was found in my brother's pocket matched up to the handwriting of that devil himself. Oh my God. We were no investigators, but we did have the knowledge to decipher whose handwriting it was. The letter that was in my brother's pocket was compared to everyone's handwriting in that house as well as my friends. This information was never told before. This all happened after my brother was buried, and they said to reopen the case. We would have to exhume his body, and it would cost $5,000 to do that. And to bury him again, it would be another $5,000 that my mother said she didn't have. In my opinion, if it was me, I would have spent my last dime if I even had a feeling or thought that someone that I was dating for over 10 years was a possible suspect in the death of my son. I would sell my soul if I had to. Everyone doesn't think like I do, but she still stayed with him after that, and at this point, I was really scared for my life. I started to run away and be around boys, gangs, and drugs. I felt that the people on the streets cared more about me than my own mother did, and I was protected from the devil himself. It was now 1 month after my brother's death, and it was time for me to graduate. And all I could think about was that my brother was supposed to be graduating too, and we had plans to go to high school. I was so numb to everything. I remember walking across the stage, but can't seem to remember anything else. This was all I could think about on my graduation day, that I really didn't care about anything. Venting. I can remember the times my brother Michael and I had our bad times together. He hit me in the eye with a hard ice ball, and it made my eye close. Michael was definitely bad sometimes. He made me put my thumb in the crack of the door and then slammed it. My entire nail came off. He used to burst through my door all the time to break the lock because that's what he did. He was very overprotective of me until one day I was tired of it. So we played a game of dare, and I dared him to put crazy glue on his penis. Oh my God. And let it dry. And of course, we were daredevils and tried everything once. But I wanted to get him back for all the bad things he used to do to me. He did it. It really worked. And 2 hours passed, and he could not pee at all, even though it felt like he had to go to the bathroom. The glue was taking longer than I could imagine for it to wear off. He had to stand in front of the toilet for 6 hours before it wore off. Oh my God. He even tried to peel it off until it started to bleed. Jesus. That was actually funny because he did more to me in my 13 years of life than I did to him. But I know it was love because me and my brother looked out for each other during the good and bad times. It sounds all bad, but what I would do to get all that back. He one day dared me to crazy glue all my fingers together, and I did. Then my mom came home early as I was trying to undo all my fingers, but couldn't, and ended up peeling some of my skin off my fingers. I ended up getting in trouble. There was also a time when my brother called me to the back door, and as I leaned to look out to see where he was, he pushed me and I fell down 6 stairs. All I did was jump right back up and act like nothing had happened. I was a tomboy because my brother made me tough. We were something like the show Jackass. I even heard that he used to play with fire a lot and that he was kind of upset. I even heard that he used to play with fire a lot and that he was kind of upset that I came into the picture because he was the baby until I arrived home from the hospital, and he waited until I was in my crib and set it on fire while I was still in it. This whole family has some issues, boy. I was actually too young to remember, but my mom told me the story. There was a time when I was in my walker and he pushed me down 18 basement stairs. Jesus. And I landed straight up at the end and was at the end of my fall. I can now laugh about it because I miss him so much. And if the abuse, fun times, and dares is what I have to remember, I can only imagine if his life wasn't taken at 15. I would have a lot more to write about. He was my best friend, my brother, and my world. The turnaround. When I finally got to high school, I really thought I was going to go crazy. I had deaths in my family, and I thought that God was punishing our family for allowing this to happen to us. I really didn't know what was going on. My life was over, and I didn't have anyone else in my life that I could call a family. My friends saw it, and as well as my mother, because she knew the pain and anger that I felt with her. All of that was overwhelming for me. I was failing my grades in school and being more and more to myself. I was quiet and stayed to myself. I started to cut my classes to find attention from doing things. I started to drink and smoke weed and hang out all types of nights until one day my mom had a teacher's parent conference with one of my teachers to find out what was going on. She explained to them that I was going through a lot and that I was not well. She told them that I had experienced a lot of deaths and that I was emotionally stressed out and didn't know how to handle it. To make the long story short, they lied on me to my mom and she didn't defend me, so I did. I took up for myself and got kicked out of high school. There was this thing that if you got in trouble at school, you had to roll a dice and get hit with a paddle on the hands as many times as the dice rolled. Oh my God. Not on my watch. I blame my mom because she didn't fight for me or even defend me. All this time I thought this is what she was always been giving me. Why am I shocked now? I had something far worse happening in my life. All right.